Third reason is safety. It's a great statement, and this is what makes it so unique. Every international student, when they leave it behind to come to a new country, there's nothing more important than feeling safe in Japan provides you with that feeling. So, how was my experience in Japan so far? Looking back at all the 6 years of studentship, it was experience with university. All I have is a deep sense of rest. With university in my lab was developing energy research from the world's leading sectors for earthquakes. I had exposure to some of the best technologies and the luxury of discussing ideas with the best minds. You can yourself photo. Your advisors will not teach you word by word, but will provide you with all the necessities for your research. They make you grow and then make you research so that you are ready for the world. Yes. The journey is challenging, but the reward is worth it. The support of my professors was so strong that after completing my master's in 2018, I didn't have a choice of continuing my PhD in the same lab. In 6 years, I worked on a very original idea, successfully published a few papers, and presented my work at many national and international companies. If you can build a strong relationship with your advisors, they will continue to support you even after you have graduated from university. I have experienced this. Besides academics, university is also where you meet many international students. Japan is relatively new to having international students, and this is an advantage. There have yet to be country-based solid communities, so you can mix and make friends beyond borders very easily. Especially in the first few months, when everyone is trying to cope with the Japanese language, it's easier to make
check,
friends
check,
because
check,
different
check.
lands with faster bonds. Also, there are many programs organized by the university where you can participate in cultural exchanges. This will help you understand the Japanese community better. Yes, language can be a barrier sometimes, but if you're kind and if you're a good listener, you can still manage without proper understanding of the language. I have learned a lot from Japan,
Check.
and I have tried to give back to Japanese society. The mutual respect will make your experience in Japan worthwhile beyond your academic ambitions. Please consider applying to Japan for your higher studies. They are the world leaders in many research areas. Wish you all the best with your efforts. Good morning, everyone.
दे रही है वो लेडी लाइन अरे कहाँ है आएगा तो आपको क्लास क्लास चेंज हो गया ना
I request all the guests to kindly be seated. We will now be beginning with the third discussion session. The third discussion session titled Policymakers Panel, The Way Forward. For the same, I would like to invite on stage Professor Mahendra Lama, Center for South Asian Studies, School of International Studies, JNU, Distinguished Fellow Asian Confluence, who will be the chair for the session. Along with him, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Itsu Edachi, Executive Director, Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Dr. Rajdeep Roy, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Sri Tapir Gao, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Srimati S. Konyak, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, Sri Vincent H. Pala, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Sri Kikon, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. I would now like to hand over to Professor Mahendra Lama to take over the session. I would like to hand over to you, sir, to take over the session. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Literally towards the end of the hectic one-day interactions. And namaskar to all of you. And we are going to have a very interesting session, primarily focusing on the policy issues, because panelists are very well known. It's very seasoned parliamentarians in India and very seasoned professionals also. And I'm sure we are going to have a very interesting presentations, discussions today. You know, it's quite interesting to see It's working now. Yeah. Thank you. Uh, it's quite interesting to see many things are happening in this part of South Asia, Eastern South Asia, we call it. And it took time, of course. As a teacher in the university in JNU, we have been discussing, researching on these issues of cooperations, of integrations, of cross-border interactions for last many, many years. And it's something like it's very easy to conceive a baby, but very difficult to deliver. It has happened like that in this part of the region also. We started the campaigning for South Asia Growth Quadrangle after seeing the progress made by several other growth quadrangles in Eastern, Central, Southeastern, Eastern Asia. And we thought that a huge group may not success. So we started talking about a small group, a smaller group known as South Asia Growth Quadrangle, basically focusing on Eastern South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. And some of us did work on Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar project also, but that really did not take off for various reasons. And in order to do this, we started, many of us, scholars, policymakers in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan, we came together and launched this project known as South Asia Growth Quadrangle exactly 25 years back and published it in a volume published by Macmillan. Then immediately after that, we started doing on, let's talk about project. And we started working on electricity interconnections, electricity trade. So for almost 20 years, we worked on that, and we could see the, what you call it, very conspicuous impact of these projects happening in this part of the region. This is a very difficult region, as was mentioned this morning. This was a region which was integrated, this disintegrated, and what we are trying to do is to reintegrate again. And reintegration has its own pangs of, separations and pangs of coming back together. And this is a region where the mountains directly connect to the seashores, right, and the oceans. And this is what you call the biodiversity hotspot also. So it has several characteristic features: the people, the communities, the governance system, the history part of it. And this is a region which has seen, you name any conflict in the world, this is a region which has witnessed, except the nuclear war. You can, Second World War, to any conflict in the world, water to refugee movement to liberation war to India, China war, to anything this region has witnessed. But the best part of this region is in the last 12 years, or say specifically 10 years after we have a new government in Delhi, we could see absolutely specific, result-oriented, and very widely, widely acceptable interventions in many areas, including in connectivity. So, quite a few issues we discussed this morning, and say, for example, one of the discussions were about Japanese investment in Bangladesh and how Japanese investors in Bangladesh are looking forward to extended market in India, right? And that is a gain-gain, win-win situation for Bangladesh. But on the Indian side of the border, Nepalese, Bhutanese, northeastern side of the border, you have several other ramifications of these projects. Therefore, this particular session is very specific to policy issues. We have identified critical, very, very local policy issues, right? We have also talked about bilateral issues, policy issues, and also regional policy issues. And we have quite a few interesting issues to discuss today, because we are now concerned about not the physical connectivity, because it's more or less in place. It only requires proper, what you call it, harmonizations of policies. It requires federal structures working together in a country like India. It requires, local aspirations getting integrated into regional and bilateral aspirations, such kind of. So we have this quite a few identified issues in this. But more seriously, I think we are worried about the flows part of it. We have created the physical connectivities, but what will really flow into this? Everyone talks about trade, right? But is there anything beyond trade? Is there anything like services, the agriculture part of it, the education, the tourism, the what you call it, the oil, gas pipelines, electricity? Or what are the flows like? Because we think that a port like Matar Bari would not be fully utilized if we really do not make the flows smooth, expand and diversify the nature of flows. So my first the round of requests to all the very distinguished panelists would be, please give us 3 minutes each, your views about what can be done now, since many of you have interacted very closely with the Japanese counterparts in your visit to Japan, and mainly tell us uh, what are the views of the government, what policy making requires to do, what kind of institutional coordinations are required, and of course, uh, what kind of interventions are required at a very micro level, at a national level, and a trilateral level. So please give us your views from your perspective. I would invite Itsu Adachi-san to make your 3 minutes presentation. Then we'll have second round. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Adachi at the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. Thank you very much. I'd like to express my great thanks to give us the opportunity to present here. Because I'm only the normal people among the 6 panelists here today. So others are the political leaders and the policy makers. So very much glad to gather. And I'd like to explain a little bit about the activities so far in Northeast India. So our Sasakawa Peace Foundation is a Japanese private foundation established over 35 years ago, and carrying out the programs related to international exchange and cooperation research and policy recommendation based on the 5 priority area. And then strengthening a strategic relationship between Japan and Asia is one of our 5 priority area. Then over the past 8 years, the SPF, Sasakawa Peace Foundation, implemented several projects in Northeast India. So our cooperation into India is only in the Northeast in India. So one of the such the projects and the activities is the preserving and sharing histories and memories of Northeast India. So this project for the focus on the local communities to develop their capacities to preserve and share histories through publishing, development archives, and collecting document footage. Sorry. And holding the events and the celebrate cultural diversity and peace. One of the activities of this project is the activity called the fragrance of peace. This activity is under the collaboration with the Zuban Publishing. This is a project focusing the young writers and researches, especially focusing on women and marginalized identities in Northeast India, and publishing books by the writers in the region. Another project is activity is the Northeast Northeast and the Audiovisual Archive in collaboration with the St. Louis College in Ceylon. This activity is to record the history, culture, and experiences of the people of the region. The activity is to record the memories of the history, culture, and experiences of the people of the region, and extend to the next generation in order to build a culturally inclusive and peaceful society where the people of Northeast India recognize their own culture and historical value. So, and then in addition to that, we are we are supporting the another project in Manipur to establish the Impal Peace Museum. So the Impal Peace Museum, which opened in Manipur 5 years ago, is supported to strengthen its operation to be a permanent and solid base for transmitting peace and a symbol of the reconciliation of conflict areas, and to conduct educational activities for the local community and disseminate information to Asia. The director of this museum, Sri Joyrang Basan, kindly participate this session, the conference today. So, as I mentioned, the culture, history, and in this region, so that's because we feel that very valuable, lot of the values of the culture and the history in this region, and also diversity is the key in this region. Without such an understanding of the region, so the people-to-people connectivity is cannot realize. So that so far we spend a lot of time to understand more about such kind of the diversity of this region. And last December, we invited the 6 MPs from the Northeast India, our SPF and the Nippon Foundation, our Parents Foundation have invited MPs of India for over a decade. So, but we are focusing on the Northeast, the India, as a very in order to strengthen the directory between the Japan and the Northeast India as a very the critical channel of the people-to-people connectivity, we decided to invite MPs only from the Northeast to Tokyo. This visit provided with the opportunity to exchange views and direct members of Japan and government of officials and business persons of Japan, and to observe the Japan's development experiences. 4 MPs out of 6 participated such visits to Japan currently attend this session today. They even a very tight schedule. Thank you very much for your the attendance of this session. Mr. Vincent Pada from Meghalaya, and Mr. Dr. Rajiv Roy from the Assam, and Mr. Topi Gao from Arunachal Pradesh, and Fanyan Konyak from Miss Fanyan Konyak from Nagaland. Many variety of the states. Then during their stay at Japan, we held a round table meeting inviting direct members and government officials, business people, and others. At this meeting, it was raised some discussion points, such as an infrastructure development in Northeast India and the connectivity of Northeast India, and economic and trade ties, and cooperation in technology and sustainability, and a strategic partnership on security and people-to-people connectivity. So the range of the points were discussed. And following this momentum, we as a Sakura Peace Foundation are considering to formulate a new project for contributing contributing strengthening people-to-people connectivity with Japan and Northeast India through strengthening relationship for the prosperity of both country and region. The building the multi-layered human network between Northeast India and Japan, including political and cultural, organizational and individual, with a focus on activities that contribute to the realization of positive peace and human security. So the people exchange, including the political leaders, the opinion leaders, and the academics, and young leaders, with our colleagues and already mentioned, and students, this be focused, and we can consider to organize a roundtable and an individual dialogue and short-term training and observation in Japan, and dispatch of the Japanese experts. So sorry for we in my presentation I didn't include the Bangladesh, but of course I really understand the importance of the bilateral relationship between Japan and Bangladesh, and also the Bangladesh and India. So, but my focus more on the relationship of the Northeast India and Japan, because there is not so much activity done, so that. That's why we not so many actors can enter to the Northeast India so far. So that we are more concerned about the how to strengthen the direct relation between the both regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adachi-san. Well, the members of parliaments are actually the core connections between the people, the region, and the parliaments in India and in Bangladesh, and of course in Japan. What we are, I'm sorry that I'm putting a straining time limits to this, because I know it's little straining, but I would urge, because we might have to go for a second round. So I would request Dr. Rajdeep Roy, Member of Parliament in Lok Sabha, to make his presentations.
Good afternoon, everybody. Professor Lama on the chair, all my co-panelists, Ambassador Suzuki, diplomats, domain experts, business leaders. At the outset, first things first, let me put my gratitude on record for Asian Confluence, team headed by Mr. Sabyasachi Datta. We have been experiencing wonderful hospitality since yesterday. Thanks also for the good food and drinks. I was privileged to be a part of MP's delegation to Japan. And I made 2 consecutive visits in 2 consecutive years, spending almost 15 days in Japan, Kyoto, and Gunma Prefecture. So my deliberation over the next few minutes would be based on my experience. We shared a long legacy, India and Japan, I mean. And in between, somewhere down the line, we lost out. We probably did not have B2B contact, and obviously P2P contact also went down. Justice Radha Binod Pal, his contribution has been recognized all across Japan. And then slowly and slowly, India and Japan started turning the corner. I would like to make one specific incident. The Confluence of the Seas address given by late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has actually opened up new vistas between India and Japan, especially in the sphere of friendship. And the Indian concept of locust and the Japanese concept of free and open Indo-Pacific actually merges at northeast corner of India. I'm also thankful to the note prepared by Asian Confluence. On page 10, I would like to draw your attention to a diagram which says the Matrabari port and its connectivity with Agartala, and then on one side on the west with Kolkata and on the east with Silchar. If you look at this map, you will realize that in the depicted area, if you take West Bengal, which is around 8 to 9 crore population, Bihar, Odisha, Jharkhand, another 8 to 9 crore, Bangladesh around 17 to 18 crore, northeast of India 5 crore, part of Nepal, Bhutan, almost around 70-80 crore of the population stays in this map. So connectivity in these areas, connecting this population, if you go to pre-British era, it was all existing. Himalayas directly connecting to the shore, as said by Professor Lama, also entails a huge biodiversity hotspot, second to Amazon basin. And I'm given to understand that there are around 54,000 wetlands in these areas. So connectivity, of course, is a big issue. I presume today in modern world, connectivity does not mean only good roads, good railways, and of course airways. It also means round the clock, round the season, waterways. And this generation has added high-speed internet as also one of the highways. So all these 5 highways needs to be patented in those areas to have not just government to government connection, business to business connection, but also people to people connection. Taking the tone set by Ambassador Suzuki in the morning session when he said, I need proposals. I come here with 3 proposals which can be delved upon by the domain experts. We as politicians, we are known for our notoriety to know everything on every platform and every subject. We are expected to deliver lectures even after the domain experts have spoken. So I will not tax you much, but I would like to draw the attention of the House on few issues. Of course, tariff, border movements, goods, labor at the border is of course an issue for business people. This needs to be looked at from a lawmaker point of view. We should get together, sit down and see what we can do on this front. Motor vehicle rule, of course, all the countries in the BIMSTEC except Burma are left-hand drive. Burma is the only country which is right-hand drive. To have a seamless motor vehicle act functional in all these countries, we need to look at Burma and its political situation also. As I've said, I would support a legislators group of these 3 nations and call it the BBN. What is BBN? It is Bharat, Bangla and Nippon. So you can have a group like this BBN group where the legislators of these 3 great nations can sit together, formulate laws friendly for the business world, friendly for the student world, and see what we can do. The picture that has been given in page number 10 by Asian Confluence has connectivity between Guwahati to Shillong, to Silchar, to Agartala, and then on towards Matrabari. So from Matrabari, high the deep sea port to Agartala is around 309 kilometers. And that part of the road is almost partly there. The only part of the road which is not there is Shillong to Agartala via Silchar, which will be around say 200 plus 300 kilometers. That is 500 kilometers. So I would ask people from Japan who are interested through JICA or any other agency to think of making a 4-lane road from Shillong to Agartala via Silchar. That would be my first proposal. My second proposal would be to have a sub-consulate in Guwahati. I have spoken about this during my second visit to Japan around 3.5 months back, and I spoke to everybody. I will place this demand in front of Ambassador Suzuki, whether we can have a sub-consulate at Guwahati, or even if you think at Shillong it is possible, it can be anywhere in Northeast India. My third proposal is to have a chair in the name of ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in any of the universities of Northeast. So I think if you have a chair in the name of ex-Prime Minister who has done so much for Northeast, we are sad that he could not visit Guwahati and Imphal in January 2020 because of certain problems, internal problems we had in Northeast at that point of time. So I would request, keeping in mind his vision for Northeast India and free and open Indo-Pacific. The next proposal would be, there are a lot of NGOs who are working for Japanese language, training to caregivers. I'm a doctor. I recruit nurses. And I can tell you that states like Mizoram, states like Tripura, states like Manipur, we have the English-speaking young generation who are very good caregivers. Their basic habits are like, they can train themselves to be very good nurses and caregivers. And if you train them in the language part, I think they will fulfill the aspiration of the Japanese society too. If you have centers like those in universities, language centers, it gives a sort of permanency. I'm not discouraging the NGOs who are giving language training, but doing it at the universities or the best of the best colleges will give a sense of permanency that this is for coming generation to stay. If you can develop this, I think it will be very, very good and all. I of course would like to reserve my other comments. Let the other co-panelists speak. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Roy, for giving us very specific agenda for consideration. May I now invite Tapir Gauju, Member of Parliament in Lok Sabha.
Thank you, Mr. Lama, and our friend from Japan, and Honorable Member of Parliament. Have the patience and skills to sit throughout the day, listening Bangladesh, Japan, India, Northeast. So you might have proved the skill of listening of Member of Parliament of India. His Excellency Ambassador Suzuki, MES representatives, honorable ministers, and former our secretaries, Madam Gamlin, she was Chief Secretary of Arunachal Pradesh also, and all the gentlemen brain behind the development of Northeast India and Japan and Bangladesh, and our Bangladesh representatives are also here. I have got a lot of stories to tell, but how I can twist it within a kind of a paragraph. I first attended this Asian conference In which year? First Asian Conference. 9 years ago, I think Mr. Lama, myself, and Sanjoy Hajarika, of course, Datto is here. His father is the founder. 9 years ago, I have never imagined of this kind of meeting. At the first outset, I attended this ASEAN conference. It has got the bright future, and let our former member of parliament, Bibi Dotto, has laid these foundations, and I would like to see this ASEAN conference polarize in future also. Recently, we have been to Japan, and almost all the places I have been talk and discuss with Japanese only. That means we don't have difference between Northeast and Japanese in culture, the way of living, the food habit, and the history also. Many Japanese are lying in Indian soil today. Almost most of your forefathers in Second World War in Manipur, Nagaland, and in Arunachal Pradesh also. We have got these bondings. So when the India, Bangladesh, Pakistan's partitions took place, before that, Nehru left us this Northeast with the East Pakistan. Gopinath Bordoloi went to Nehru. Then Nehru asked Gopinath Bordoloi to discuss with Mahatma Gandhi. He discussed and he prayed for attached with the rest of the India. That's why we are connected with bottleneck Siliguri to the rest of India. After having heard the discussions of the scholars' experience, today we feel and I realize in those days it was right, but at this juncture, it could have been better if we are connected with Bangladesh and having a corridor of Bay of Bengal. Now many waters has flowed from all the tributaries became the Brahmaputra. Many water has flown to Bay of Bengal. Now it is the right time to get the opposite towards pro Brahmaputra. We can get lot of services from Government of India, from Japan, or from Bangladesh. And at this juncture, Bangladesh is the best trusted one of the friend of India. From Matabari, we are going to be facilitated to Bay of Bengal. This is the in return of Brahmaputra's water flows towards downstream. We'll get the upstreams through this Matabari. So I have got few points that we need to see through different agencies. The best thing that I have seen in Japan is the river management. That's why I have delivered in many places how Japanese, especially in जगह का नाम क्या था? Gunma province. I have Yamba Dam and even smaller rivers, streams are managed in such a way that they are not having any kind of flood damage, erosions, and all everything. Here in India, especially in the Northeast, we as a leader, we as a government, go to the river bed after heavy damage and destructions of the flood. So river management that Japanese are having, even the big river and the smaller streams are well managed, and even heavy floods come, there is no mass erosion and destructions. So we can look into it, especially in Northeast. We are 6 months, we have got working hour. Most of our Japanese friends might have experienced it. 6 months, we are in holidays. You can work on the ground. So river management that we need to get the idea and concept from the Japan. And another is we have got the history. Before Second World War, there is an steel well road from Assam to that connect to Kunming of China. Still the structure road is there. The Indian side, we have got completed the road up to the Myanmar border. From there, the China company is constructing that road. That can be a trade route, connect Thailand, even to China also. So that can be looked into it. That is an issue that I need to focus. And we have discussed a lot about cultural relations, man-to-man contact and all. The best way to involve with Japanese is that we Northeast states should introduce the Japanese language in higher secondary school, college, and University of Northeast states. And if possible, it depends on the state governments. We can start from the primary also, so that the entire Northeast can have emotional bondings with the Japanese. Last time we have visited the silk farm of Gunma village, Gunma Prefecture. The Director General, what he has said, we have manpower, we have technology, we have everything, but our farmers, silk farmers, most of them are 70 plus aged. And if they gave up this, then the Japanese silk will fall down. And he proudly said, all these boys and girls, they are not producing children, they are not getting married, and they are interested in IT, they are not interested in farming. Now here is an opportunity. Japan was known for silk exports and all over the world. In Northeast, our self-help group, women self-help group, they are doing a lot of cultivations on this silk farming, whether it is in Arunachal, in Nagaland, in Meghalaya, in Assam. You have got the opportunity. We can reaffirm on silk farming and silk productions through Japan's. That we need to look into it. And race, you have got the technology, we have got the manpower. Honorable Prime Minister Modi has sensed the look east as an act east. So we are having dream to connect Thailand and the dream to connect from Myanmar, through Myanmar. Here I would like to say that all our think tank experienced people can also look into it. Gonguli Madam might have experience and history of Myanmar of 1962. Atal Bihari Vajpayee has said it. You can sense your friend, but you can sense your neighbor. Whatsoever it may be, we have experience in 1962 when army rules come in Myanmar, the government of India, rest of the country isolated from Myanmar. That's why we got plus out of Indian citizens from Myanmar. The history is there. Whatever it may be, we must have something and a kind of agenda so that we can look into Myanmar, so we cannot sense our neighbors, we can sense our friend. So we must need we must have a policy. So at the end, Lama Sahab, I need a kind of breakup. I need to draw attentions of all the intelligence, learned, diplomats, and friends sitting here. I met Japan's former Prime Minister along with the team. We met Indo-Japan Friend MPs Forum. We met former ambassador to India. Everywhere where I got the opportunity, I highlight one thing. That is ASEAN Confluence, Northeast India, they have not written within bracket except Arunachal. Why I am saying so? I feel the government of Japan, with the present political scenario in the globe, it is the right time, His Excellency Suzuki Sahab, it is the right time to take the Japan's government, Japan's agency, business community to enter Arunachal Pradesh. I have been invited here as a member of parliament, and our state government has sent three senior officers. Hagetari, please kindly stand. He is Secretary Trade and Commerce, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. He is an IS officer. And Sonyung Modi, he is Director of Trade and Commerce. And entrepreneur So Ahina Sonai. He is entrepreneur. So we are here, four of us are here, but throughout the day debates, Arunachal has been not mentioned. At this, At this, I mentioned, but that I'll turn it to in different way. At this geopolitical sense, China is not the Japan's business partner. They are there to dominate not only Japan, to other countries also. So this is the high time that with bold policy, the government of Japan should take a step. His Excellency, you have rightly pointed out, clean this environment. You have highlighted the hydropower. As per Government of India's survey, 55,000 megawatts can be generated from Arunachal only. We have the highest, best quality of kiwi, and we have factory making wine through kiwi and being exported to USA. We have the orange that exported to UAE, Saudi Arabia every year. We have apple, we have palm, we have large cardamom, we have got the medicinal plant that China is after that medicine. That's why sometimes it here that they are encouraging this and that. And we have all tourist destinations. We have got the religious tourist destinations. And we have got all kind of herbals. And what it is written, the total number of orchids in botanically mentioned, Arunachal is having more than that orchids in Arunachal Pradesh. So this is the right time, His Excellency, all the business community, not only JICA, we cannot blame only JICA, the World Bank, ADB, and GBIX, and JETRO. And I would like to request the long, tall gentleman from Japan, JCCI representatives in India, this is a place where you need and we need to put heads together to invest in Arunachal Pradesh, because we have got all quantity, quality, and though we are lesser in populations, but we have got all the requirement that Japanese businessman is looking for. So especially MEA representatives, we all need to think again. See, at the end, I can cite one example. I have got my biological father. But if somebody say, Mr. Tapirgao is my son, the society cannot disrespect that. With this economic policy, with this foreign policy, with these diplomatic expansions, Arunachal Pradesh in the northeast cannot be a untouchability in the rest of the world. China claim Arunachal, but I assure not even a single citizens of Arunachal say about China. Our citizens in the border are standing more than an army. Without arms and ammunition, we stand for the nations. And China will never, ever have Arunachal even in their dreams also. And this is the stand of Modi ji. This is the stand of the people of Arunachal Pradesh. I wished the rest of the country and the world should join with our hands, and expansions of business in Arunachal can be extended, that His Excellency can carry this message to Tokyo. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I thought we will have second round, but by this measure, I don't think we will be able to do that. I'm sorry for the previous speakers. But Member of Parliament Tapir you raised very pertinent issues as far as Arunachal roles in the integration process in South Asia. You would be pleased to know that now the countries in this BBIN or South Asia Growth Quadrangle are not considered isolated. Previously, historically, we used to say India as the transit point for all the countries, but no longer so. Bhutan is a transit point today because the Arunachal Pradesh government is very keenly awaiting to pass through Bhutan to come to Assam, including through number of districts there, including Gelefu and Samdok Jonkar, right? And Bangladesh is going to be a major transit point. Nepal is a major transit point between Sikkim and the eastern part of Nepal, right? And so this entire very orthodox definition of transit point specific to India has undergone drastic changes. The second very interesting thing about is the Pangsao Pass, which you referred to, reopening of the Stillwell Road. I see the presence of Mr. Hagetari and Mr. Modi from Arunachal Pradesh. They are already conducting a major study as to how this Pangsao Pass, primarily Stillwell Road, could be opened and linked to several regions in Myanmar, because I think this is one geography which is very, very potential as far as economic exchanges with Myanmar is concerned. So I would like to now request Mr. Pala, the Member of Parliament in Lok Sabha from Meghalaya. Please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. I would like to express my gratitude to Asian Conference for organizing this program. and His Excellency, thank you for making this possible. My distinguished colleagues from Parliament, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome all of you. This is my constituency. Here we have the heaviest rainfall in the world. We have the cleanest village in Asia. May not be as good as Japan, maybe, but we have the most beautiful place on earth. I'll be briefed. I'll not talk about the experience which we have in Japan, but I know so many brains are here. We had in Japan, I think, according to me, which was not a complete visits, because we have a people to people, politician to politicians, we met industries. But to complete that in Meghalaya, I think heart to heart, that's we welcome all of you here. And pocket to pocket, we need more investment for the Northeast. Northeast, we cannot sell separately Meghalaya or Arunachal or Assam. I think we have to market Northeast as a whole, because every state has their unique culture. Every state has their own potential. Main thing which I request in 3 areas in terms of the subject you have said in infrastructure. In my state, Meghalaya and Arunachal or Nagaland, we have a huge potential in tourism. I think it's not difficult to market tourism in the Northeast. We have the best waterfalls in my constituency, we can say. Only how to market this, how to convert this into a better waterfalls or a better tourism place, or better, that we can do with the technology, we can do with the investment, we can do with many things which we have seen, which we have done in Japan. So we are working, for example, now I'm working on a project where all the waterfalls in Meghalaya will connect it like in line with Niagara Falls with the night lights and all, so that as of today, for example, Meghalaya people come from Delhi all over the world, they come to Guwahati, come to Meghalaya, and they go back to Guwahati. But to make them stay here in Meghalaya, we need to do something. So we are planning to do on this. We are working in a project. I'll be happy if we can get the help of Japan, because Japan are good in technology on this issue. So we have been working. One is very important thing. I had a discussions with His Excellency also, that whatever you bring investment in the Northeast will not work until unless we have power with us. We have a potential in, like my colleague has stated, in Arunachal more than 50,000 megawatts. In Meghalaya, we have a potential of 3,000 megawatts, but generation is hardly 356 megawatts. We generate almost 8,000 million units in a year, but the demand is 1,800 units in a year. So not even half of the demand is met. So we need, if we want to bring IT, if we want to bring anything, until unless we have power. So I request that to see that no, if we can help in power. We have small projects as on today, 400-500 megawatts are ready. DPR is almost ready, and investigations is going on, but we can collaborate with Japan on this issue. You have helped us in the road. You have spent almost 2,000 crores only in my state, and that's on my, rather only in my constituency, and 4,000 in Garo Hills. So to connect Matabari, to see that Matabari port is fully functioning or fully utilized, we need to connect Bangladesh, Northeast, and we cannot do that until unless we have power, we have road connections to be in a better position as we are now. Very important thing, we have seen Japan. In India, you go to a small shop, you go to a big shop, you go anything, payment is made through a digital. You know, you scan, you get payment. But I think Japan, they can do it. But I think we can always connect this also with Japan. So in one hand, we can give labor to Japan, whereas you need the pockets of Japan to invest here in the Northeast. That's very important. We can give you a good, like from Mizoram, they have more than 200 nurses are working there in Japan. So we can give you good nurses from Meghalaya as well. We have enough on these issues. So my humble suggestions to Japanese delegations that, when you come here, I'll be very happy, but we connect better in terms of investment in a few areas, which may not go all types of areas, but concentrate on the investment we have made in Matamari. That will be only possible if we connect the entire Northeast as a whole. These are a few things we say. I should be thankful to the Sasakawa Foundations for taking us, experience the Shankasan travel, experience so many things in Japan. We hope that was not the first and the last trip, and 4 more trips will become from the Northeast. So thank you. Once again, I welcome you to my constituency, to my state, and I hope that you'll enjoy the stay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Asian Influence.
Well, thank you very much, Vincent H. Palaju, the Member of Parliament from Meghalaya. We now have brief remarks by Mr. Kikon. He's the national spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party. May I invite Kikon Saab to speak?
A very good evening to all of you. To save time, I'll just address all of you as ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Asian Conference, for inviting me to this conclave. It's a wonderful opportunity. India today has transformed from a country of just looking to now acting. It was, in fact, in 2014, December 1, when Prime Minister Modi came to the Hornbill Festival in Nagaland, that he said, now we shall have or rename the look is policy as the act is policy. We shall start acting. Many wonderful opinions have been shared, good observations have been shared since morning. So I'll just briefly share 3 experiences we've had, and I'll marry the history of both Japan, India, and Bangladesh, both pre-independence and also post-colonial. I'll start with a very small experience, a matter of perception. There was this young girl whose both parents had died, and she was a bright student from Kohima. She studied there and she wanted to continue higher studies but couldn't. So there was an opportunity it was advertised in the local paper, and she had come to interview me for one of her college projects. And I said, what's your future like? She wanted to, continue higher studies. And I said, okay, there's an opportunity. If you're willing to go. Why I said if you're willing to go is because perceptions around Bangladesh had not been rosy for, her immediate family members. Why would I go to Bangladesh? When they come here to work, why would I go there? I mean, this was 5 years back. And this wonderful program by the Asian University for Women in Chittagong actually was sponsored by Uniglo. And her education, because she was a brilliant student, was sponsored and supported by, the Uniglo. Asian University Women provided her an international standard education. Today, she's studying in Paris, in the #1 university in Paris, as a university student, I wanted to go there because, my heroes in scholarship, both Derrida, Foucault, they all taught there and studied there. But this lady got this scholarship and got the opportunity to go and study there. There is at present, a professor from Assam who is the chair of the Andy Matsui, a Japanese entrepreneur. He has a chair in the Asian University of Women in Chittagong. And his name is Dr. Sanjeev Bora. Anybody who's familiar with Northeast would have read his many scholarly books and works. And he is presently there. So this experience and this program is for underprivileged young women from Manipur, Assam, Nagaland, and Mizoram. So this is one program which I thought is a very potential, program for a personal experience. One, at the micro level, at the personal level, it changes perception about regions. And why I say this is because I continue with where Professor Shahidul Haq had left in the morning about the common history. So sometimes common history can be bitter. Sometimes a land of no borders because of certain historical circumstances become so exclusive. And, when the Prime Minister said it's time to act, the change has come. Matter of perception today exists differently from when it was 75 years ago. Another story I would like to relate, because I am also a student of history, is when General Mutakuchi and Lieutenant Generals Kotoku Sato came to the Naga Hills in Manipur and Nagaland as part of the Japanese Imperial Army. Their guides were a Bengali and a Naga, namely Subhash Chandra Bose and A.Z. Pizzo. So when they came, the first thing they did was started a school where their soldiers taught the Nagas the Japanese language. Those who are still alive can still sing songs in the Japanese language. And they also printed Japanese rupee, a currency they thought they'll use if they win the war. So a battle raged on. They lost the war of empires. But today, it is a different Japanese people or Japanese government that is here. I have seen. And when we commemorated the 75th year of or anniversary of the Second World War, the Battle of Kohima, as we call it, the British High Commissioner came, Japanese ambassador came. It was somebody else before you, perhaps. And the occasion was very solemn. But what we noticed as people from Nagaland, and our chief minister expresses it very, succinctly, is that the Japanese came and they came with JICA. They came with forest conservation projects. They came with programs so that animal and human conflict will not be there anymore. Then they also came because I believe they don't have war cemeteries. They have memorials, museums. So they came with an idea to build a park. But that is the level of engagement on a people-to-people level. And when state governments are happy in the region, people are generally happy, because it's a program which benefits all. What I'm trying to say is that the level of engagement today has changed, transformed for the better, and the pace of development also has changed. I was listening to our Honorable MP, Tapir Gauji. He's one of the senior-most BJP leader from the Northeast. Even before anybody joined BJP, he was there. His concerns are the concerns of everybody from this region. And that is something which a lot of us discuss when we all meet. Now, what is the way forward? What has been done today? I would also, in continuation with what Dr. Roy and Tapirgao has suggested. You see, there is one experience which reinforces this particular hope that I have, is in the state of Meghalaya itself. For so many years, there were cases in the Supreme Court against one project, a bilateral project, trade project, and in Northeast, especially when people talk from Delhi, even if it is the MEA or MHA, when people talk about Northeast, they talk about security and insurgency. But today, things have changed. Of course, security analysis talking about trade relation is very awkward, but still, everybody wants to talk about those issues. And I say this because, you see, between Meghalaya and Bangladesh, when it comes to education, my grandfather's age went to Dhaka to take college education. They didn't go to Kolkata. So, there was a route which they followed, which, of course, the British East India Company used those route to come up to Upper Assam and to this part of the world. This place called Shela, because limestone was mined since long time back. British East India Company was interested in these hills because of limestone, primarily resources, and for revenue generation they came, and they used force and violence, and that was how they colonized this region. So fast forward, there was this agreement. I think it was, I think guided by the Lafarge Cement, a French company, and they, using 5 kilometers of conveyor belt, transported limestone from Meghalaya to Bangladesh. For us, my ancestors went to Sylhet to trade in slaves and sold, fighting their way through Kachar. So this is our history. And you cannot discuss or envision a future without understanding that part of our history. Whereas this example is a model which has, over a period of 15 years, come to such a pass that, yes, we now can trade with each other, overcome all our internal issues, and actually formulate a policy where we are connecting not only through our borders, but also through trade. So in my submission to all of you, we may have many things on our mind. We know all the facts and data, and we want to formulate, we want to pontificate on all this. But ultimately, it is these experiences which will push a vibrant relation. There is already the existing relation. In conclusion, I want to challenge all of you. For instance, in 2001 or 2000, there was a thinking of, led by the World Bank, that we should create a Ministry of Donor, because then it was 7 sisters, now we have 8. The question I was thinking was, okay, World Bank, ADB, they contributed in all that. And what Tapirgao is saying is right. IFIs can't invest in Arunachal because of certain issues with China. But today, what can JPIC or JICA do that is different, or trend setting or new from what has been done 2 decades ago? So some of these prospects, some of these challenges we need to think about, because today we have a government board at the center in this region, which will ensure that ease of doing business is your daily breakfast. Thank you for this time.
Thank you very much for also highlighting the changing narratives about the Northeast. The borders are no longer the security threats. They are primarily what you call it, borders as opportunities. People are not talking about special economic zones. People are talking about frontier economic zones, right? And interestingly, people are also talking about a new variety of nationalism. We shifted from this nationalism. Ultimately, this region got into the business of resource nationalism. Examples like Bangladesh in gas, Nepal in water, Bhutan in Nepal. So now they have really get into the business of what you call it, national based on cooperative benefits. So we have kept the last speaker as the school days when you used to participate in the debate competition. The last speaker used to be the most powerful speaker, right? So we deliberately said that our last speaker today should be the most powerful. And this is Madam Konyak, the member of parliament from Nagaland. Please.
Thank you, Professor Lama. Before I begin, I'd like to request everyone to please stand once. Can you please stand on your seat? Huh? Everyone. Thank you. Please be seated. Moderator of today's session, Professor Lama, honorable colleagues from the Parliament, my friend Monomo Kikon, he is an established author and a poet. His recent book is His Majesty's Headhunters, which speaks about the Second World War, Battle of Koima. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege to be here, and this is my first Asian Conference meeting. And it is a very wonderful platform where we get together and exchange ideas. Before I begin, I'd like to give a brief outline of what India is, about the country. India now is set to grow at 6.3, the GDP of India. And by 2030, we are aiming to be, as said earlier by other speakers, a 7 trillion economy. India is number 1 in starting startups, number 2 in having the number of startups, and number 3 in the world in having a startup ecosystem. So now, Northeast also, under Prime Minister Modi and his active policy, under PM Divine, there is this 6,600 crore capital outlay for infrastructure development, which will go until 25-26. Also, there is a 100 crore capital venture fund for Northeast. As mentioned earlier, 40% of this country's hydropower potential is in the Northeast, but sadly, per capita consumption of energy is the lowest in Northeast. So this is one area which needs to be addressed. Also, when it comes to Northeast, many successive governments in the center have found it difficult to, found it difficult to govern Northeast because it was the hotbed of secessionist movements and separatism and conflicts. But now, after Prime Minister Modi, numerous peace agreements have been signed. The region is on its way. Of course, we are sad about what is happening in Manipur, but we are very hopeful that peace will come soon to the region. Now, when we talk about Northeast, we have to understand one thing. India is one of the youngest countries in the world with 28.5 median age. And from that 28.5, we have to keep in mind that 50% of the total population is below 25 years of age. Now, these 25 years of age, they are growing up during the Modi era, after Prime Minister Modi came to power. Now, these things we have to keep in mind because prime ministers, from the moment he took over the government, India is transitioning from, women development to women-led development. Now, for any exchange to take place, because there's a lot of talk about skilled workforce coming to Japan and all. So for our youth to go there, this environment has to be there in that place where there is gender parity and where there is women-led development. That is one aspect. Also, see, by 2047, 20% of the world's middle class will be in India. And that will open up a huge, sector of opportunities in terms of technology, because there'll be needs of food, housing, shelter, education, entertainment, security. So this is where a lot of collaborations can take place. Our Honorable MP, Sir Gao, has mentioned about the sericulture, which technology transfer can take place because Northeast has a very active, handloom sector. And we have GI tags for the Assam silk, So Japan and India, the way forward can be technological, collaborations. One. Secondly, I was watching the video. One point of concern is the ages are usually 21 to 35. I mean 31. So they go there, work for 5 years, and come back, mid career. Where do they fit in here again? That is one concern because we send our youth there. They go and study there. Do they earn enough? What are their earnings? And when they come back, can they start something on their own? Will there be job openings for them to fit in? So these are questions which come up when we talk about sending workers. And that is one point of concern for me. Of course, I'm glad to know that the Japanese government has approved the foreign trainee program on 9th February, which still needs parliament approval, which extends the stay up to 5 years, and possibly if they want to, continue residency. So that option is one, which is good. Taking forward, as mentioned earlier, we have a lot of youth who are educated, but sadly, we also have the, highest unemployment in the region. So all these things can come together if there is, like, for example, if there is an enabling environment there in Japan for our youth to go and work, yes, why not? But then we have to take into consideration the concerns that I just had now, because this Northeast, our people, we are very different, we're very warm. One observation of my trip to Japan, I was very impressed. Everything is very disciplined, everything really good. But then as the days pass on, one observation: traveling to the rural areas, going to the towns, I found it very desolate. I mean, you don't see people on the street. And here in India, we are used to people on the street. Desolate is the word that came to my mind. And I felt very sad. Such a beautiful place. And there's no population. There's no one. We were counting people. 4 hours. We saw 2 on the street. Traveled for 4 hours by road. So for us Northeast people to come and be there, an environment has to be there where we feel, because we are very close-knit societies. Tribal societies are close-knit. So that enabling environment has to be there. And I'd like to, beforehand, I'd like to thank Sasakawa Foundation and CIA for the opportunity we got to experience Japan. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the final words. And we'll have to now wind up this particular session because we have to get into other session. Very interesting and very, very impressive policy agenda. All the 6 speakers have put forward, and I'm sure Asian Confluence has noted them down. The very interesting part of this reason is, the cooperations integrations process is so complex, but at the same time so interesting, precisely because you have layers and layers of cooperations. One village with another village, one government with another government, right? So it's layers and layers of. At the same time, you will also find that problems or constraining factors or pull factors are also layers and layers. So if you go to a kind of a border point, you'll find choke points, never heard of. Several choke points in the border points. Trucks are held up for hours together, right? If you cross the border, then you will have problems related to what you call it, the phytosanitary measures or quarantines and all. If you further get into this, then problems of banks, problems of insurance companies, so layers and layers. So I think one of the major interventions a platform like a forum like Asian Confluence could do is to really talk about this micro level and both the macro level problems. We have, while coming to an end, the other critical factors have to be also taken into considerations. One of the very serious critical factors is this is one reason, this is one geography in India which has started facing climate change firsthand. Go to Sikkim, go to Arunachal Pradesh, Nepal, Bhutan. you will find the impact of climate change in various spheres, including in agriculture, heritage, livelihood in a very, very prominent manner. This is also a reason where one can really make capital out of green energy or green economy. Like in Sikkim, we are trying to make Sikkim as the first green economy or the green capital of India. The other strength which we have to deal with is something related to communities, something related to our faith, something related to our biodiversity, that is related to traditional medicinal systems. And and there is a huge scope. In fact, this is what we are going to incorporate in the 2047 Northeast region's vision document, right? Quite a few ideas which have been raised today are, I'm sure, going to figure in the 2047 Northeast Region Vision document, and I'm sure there will be agencies, partners from both the private and the public sector to really get it operationalized. So thank you very much. I think this was one of the most fascinatingly vibrant session, and I could see everyone was keen to understand what is what, keen to contribute whatever they could, and more importantly, everybody looked forward to a far-reaching ventures and future for the region as a whole. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I would like to request the panelists to kindly take a moment for a group photograph.
Sophia would like to join. Your Excellency, please. Please, sir. Mr. Sir. Sir. Thank you. Thank you.